Hello. Are you asleep? No. No, you are not. As I expected. That's okay. That's okay. Lucky for you, you ordered a bedtime lecture. Do you remember doing that? Well, I am sure that you do know that I am in your room and that there is a microphone and a computer on your bed. That was very smart of you to do that. Speaking of smart, tonight, I'm actually going to give a lecture, a presentation on the different types of intelligence. Which is funny enough, a controversial topic. Did you know that? I didn't know that it was controversial. But it is. And I'm going to talk about that controversy and the debate. But to be honest with you, in my opinion, we have enough to debate. And I'm just not that bothered to argue if we can measure the ways that people are incredible or not, or what makes people incredible or not. I like to focus on how people are amazing. So, mostly while you lay there, we will be traveling through the spectrum of intelligence and kind of like looking at what is most popular in our discourse about intelligence. Are you comfortable? Good. I want to make sure that you're comfortable. Okay, so we will cover in this talk, I hope you're not awake for all of these, because you're supposed to be sleeping, but we will cover musical intelligence, visual spatial, linguistic or verbal, logical and mathematical, aka reason, and then bodily, kinesthetic, physical, emotional, interpersonal, and social. That's all one category, mind you. Naturalistic, existential or spiritual, pedagogical, and digital. I know. We are evolving as a species, aren't we? For better or worse in that regard. So, how exciting. Are you ready to sleep? Yes, your answer should be yes. Do you have your pillow the way that you like it? Okay, good. Okay, before we get started, let me just adjust my computer. I'm going to tell you in detail how this works. This is a proper lecture. It doesn't matter that I'm right by your bed. It doesn't matter. This is a lecture. So you must behave. And there will be no cell phones. You can put those away. You will enjoy the tea that I have left you. It's right over there. You're going to enjoy that. It's not caffeinated. Yes, so there's no phones, just lecture. You may ask questions. You may. And I will periodically be checking on you to make sure that you are asleep. To make sure that you are sleeping. Once you are asleep, I will take my leave. I'll leave. I'll see myself out. And I will see you in the next session after this one. So, okay. Are there any questions? Do you have any questions? I see that you are looking very comfortable. So you are doing a great job already. We're off to a very good start. Are you ready for the rest? I'm going to read on my computer here. So let's do it then, okay? I'm going to show you a shape. Let me pull it up. Okay. And do you see the shape that I've pulled out of my computer into the ether? Do you see that? Well, that's a square. And do you see the shape? Yeah, that's a Mobius strip. So they're really different. They look really different, right? So what does it even mean to be intelligent or to be smart? Well, it could look like either of these two shapes, I think. So sometimes in popular psychology, intelligence tends to be mapped and measured by traditional IQs. And they measure that empirically, and so you might get data that looks like a little square or rectangle, a simple shape. Yeah, maybe a little line between A and B. It's readable. These IQs are simple numbers that represent our intelligence. And so we say, great, perfect. However, there are other projects which seek to define our intelligence a bit differently and maybe expand the concepts and acknowledge other realities and acknowledge that human beings have very different aptitudes and skills and ways of being in the world. So you get things like the theory of multiple intelligences. I have found that people tend to pick a lane based on how they define intelligence, and then they debate. They argue with one another all the time. Because in one way, if you define intelligence as a person's unique cognition, how can you ever talk productively about it, is the critique. Maybe it's good to have intelligence be a really strict, separate category, beyond skill, if you're into that. But on the other hand, if you define IQ with limited parameters, you have to ask why. So why the parameters like reasoning, speed of processing, etc., why are those what we pick and not other things? Like, what purpose do they serve? So you see that debate goes on and on and on, made up of all kinds of researchers who are interested in prioritizing different things about us. But you and I, we are going to dive into these different types of intelligence that are on the table. Why? Well, because it feels good to talk about it. They feel real, right? Like, even though multiple intelligence is called a neuromyth. A neuromyth, it means a story about the brain that has yet to be proven. A neuromyth. What an incredible thing. Like, a story that we tell ourselves, you know? Like, I find that incredibly real. A story is a real thing, you know what I'm saying? And incredibly powerful. To assert existence in the face of a world that would prefer empirical measurements for everything that is kind of common sense about us. Yeah, I think that's amazing. Are you sleeping? No, you're not sleeping. You will be, okay? You will be asleep. Okay, so at the end of the day, it simply feels good to acknowledge multiple intelligence, even if by saying intelligence we really mean skill or aptitude, or like the ways that people make meaning and find joy in the world, you know what I mean? So, the debate is the debate, and we will have our own discussions in a playful way, because being playful is very smart. Okay, very smart. Okay, let us continue. Don't get distracted. Who is the sharpest tool in the shed? Who is it? I think it was Socrates that asked that. Let's take a survey, okay? Is it the calculus nerd who is good with numbers? Is it the poet? Is it the doomer who has seen the cruelties of the world and been hardened against them? Is it the tree who silently watches all of this unfold, watches as we are born and then pass away? I don't know. Who is it? Let's look at each category one at a time. Each category. How do we embody intelligence? Let's go through these one by one until you are asleep, which is hopefully soon. That's the goal, okay? Alright. Intelligence number 1 is musical intelligence. This is a really fun one. It's interesting, isn't it? How music is one of the most powerful triggers of memory. Kind of unreal. To simply hear a song and have it take you back to a very specific time and a place. Isn't music a miracle? I think it's a miracle. Some people seem to have a natural affinity for music, and they can learn all the different notes and learn how to read music. Some people can recreate songs that they hear very quickly. They can just hear something and begin to understand how it all maps out. They perceive tonality and pitch quite easily, quite well. There's even a field of research which is called zoomusicology. I didn't know about this. Zoomusicology, which is the study of musical aspects of sounds in non-human animals. Did you know that in one unpublished study, cows produced 3% more milk when exposed to REMs? Everybody hurts. Want some food for thought while you're falling asleep over there? You can chew on that one. Music is quite powerful, isn't it? So, fascinating stuff. Maybe you have a high degree of musical intelligence? What about that? Yeah, no, I see. No, I do not. No, I love music. But I do not naturally focus on tones, and certainly cannot tell one thing from another in a song. But not to worry, there are other types of intelligence. Let's look at another one. Visual, spatial. Visual and spatial. So, visual intelligence and spatial intelligence. That really refers to somebody's ability to perceive visual stimuli, like shapes and patterns, and be able to tell where things are in space, kind of architecturally, with depth and perspective. It can also include the ability to mentally represent things in your head, in your mind's eye, with detail, and be able to kind of build these inner visuals. It correlates with the ability to visualize art, and interpret dreams. Isn't that nice? You can engage with the visual world around you and process it with your body. So, as a viewer in the world, you can process through moving through space. Perhaps you can really learn a lot from a photo of something, just a photograph of something, or maybe you know your way around a map of a city. Certainly you need visual processing while you're moving through a city, especially a new place, you know what I mean? We think in see very well. Like, when you're thinking visually, like 1 + 1 = 2, right? But in your head, it's supposed to be like green plus tall equals tree. So you think you've seen correctly. Oh, it's green, it's tall, I kind of got it, it's a tree, we move on. But actually, we make incorrect judgments all the time. We think we see a tree and it's actually just a cleverly disguised telephone pole. It's quite interesting. I think the ability of the brain at all to do these kind of equations is quite impressive. So maybe people who see Bigfoot in the woods just have incredibly active and intelligent visual systems. Something to think about. So, how are you doing? Are you sleepy yet? Getting there? Okay. Alright, let's move on. Linguistic or verbal intelligence. This part of the lecture is from Google. I Googled it. And because I figured I would use the words of the internet because this is about words. So I thought that was kind of funny. So Google says that verbal linguistic intelligence is a person's ability to understand and reason using concepts framed in words. Surprise, surprise. It is also defined by a person's ability to use words and their combinations effectively when it comes to analyzing information, communication, and problem solving. What do you think about that? Very nice, huh? Are you a fan of the written word? Yeah? Yeah, I figured. Me too. Sometimes writing our inner thoughts is easier than saying them, don't you think? Like, there's something about the page being a container for our thoughts and feelings that just feels really healthy, Like, we can take from the page when we read and we can integrate it into ourselves and we can process by moving our thoughts back and forth this way, writing, reading, and reading, that kind of thing. I think of linguistic intelligence as kind of working out ideas, like kneading dough a little bit. You kind of give it shape, and you give it shape through speaking, and then by hearing somebody else's words, you're kind of getting to shape it over and over and over when you have a conversation with somebody else in person, or just with another person about an idea, which you should not be doing because you are supposed to be sleeping. So you're getting very sleepy. Good. Let's continue. Oh boy, the next one. It's a big one, isn't it? Logical, mathematical, aka reason. This might be the one that I think of first when I think of intelligence, just because we've been conditioned to think this. But my first thought when I hear this is honestly Pythagoras. That's who I think of first. Specifically the cult of Pythagoras, which believed, amongst other things, that mathematics was sacred and that it gave us the secrets of the universe. Isn't that so beautiful? Do you know what else, though? They didn't eat beans because they believed that beans have souls, so you shouldn't eat beans. I bring this up not to mock them. No. The opposite. To show how amazing human beings are and how the same brain that is capable of reason is also capable of rules. And some of those rules, based on reason, are quite unreasonable. We are truly incomprehensible creatures. Can't believe it. Anyway, logic, reason, we strive for these things because they are good things. Oh my gosh, they are powerful tools of thinking. Like all kinds of thinking, though, if if you overcommit to them, you will become neurotic and, quite frankly, insufferable to be around. But in appropriate doses, it's the sweet, sweet song of intellect. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that nice? Mathematics, of course, speaks for itself. It really does. You're doing math, you're like an architect, you are mapping out the structure of the universe. What a joy it is to be good at math. Okay, let's continue. How about that? Because I could keep talking about this for a while. But the goal is to give you a well-rounded education. That's the point of this. So, okay. Are you still comfortable? I see. Yeah, you are. You're doing great. Okay. Alright, we're moving on. Okay, so maybe math isn't your thing. Maybe an exercise of the body energizes you instead, which you should not be doing. You're staying very still. Good. Okay, so we know that intelligence can be embodied this way, like in athletes, performance artists, dancers. I actually wonder if coordination, like you need for video games, could be included here. There is a sense of drawing conclusions with the body, executing actions, and moving forward with an idea through space. That sounds smart to me. I think of people who can climb trees or rocks, or those kids that just did the monkey bars super easy. I was not one of those. People who just know where to put their feet and how to adjust their weight. It's quite impressive. Moving is really a science, but you don't need to be too kinesthetic. Is that the word? Yeah. You need to relax and rest. Actually breathing and relaxation, that's kind of an intelligence of the body, isn't it? To be relaxed is to be very, very smart. Yes, you're very, very smart. And you're very capable. Okay. Next. Here's another big one. Emotional, interpersonal, or social intelligence. Wow. Yeah, big topic, isn't it? Because we're all engaged with this really powerful energy between all of us. And to be emotionally intelligent is to be as tapped in as you can to that energy, the type that you're putting out, and what others are giving you, what you're receiving as well. It's an awareness, fundamentally, of yourself and others. An awareness of yourself and others. So, it's one of the more mystical kinds of intelligence, don't you think? It kind of is, isn't it? Because some of the motivations of emotions and expressions are quite obscured. Sometimes we don't really know what's going on, or why other people are doing what they're doing. But if you have high emotional intelligence, this would indicate that you can recognize emotions when they occur, when they encounter them in yourself or other people, and that you can use emotions to make decisions about the world and what to do. And you can process your emotions and adapt to new environments. You can kind of shift this way in the world and have some mobility. I think, too, there is an emphasis maybe on kindness and empathy and conflict resolution. You're able to maybe suspend kind of some of those heavy personal feelings when you encounter emotions in favor of a more light-hearted approach. Perhaps understanding that some things don't need to be personal, that feelings are temporary. I also think it involves, maybe if you're emotionally intelligent, it would suggest that you're able to acknowledge your own shortcomings as a person and try to call in some of that radiance for life. You know what helps with radiance? Actually, touching grass, nature, returning to nature. Which brings me to naturalistic intelligence. This one is really, really cool. Some people may find themselves drawn to the natural world and observing animals and plants and stars and the ways in which other beings live and grow. Isn't that incredible? So they may locate emotions and intelligence and consciousness in the natural world. And they may be interested in the natural sciences and figuring out how things work. I am a big fan of this one. I think it's fascinating. It's elemental. It's about the elements, receiving all the wisdom of nature. It's also about survival in a way, kind of understanding or having an intimate relationship between yourself and the natural world, and being able to kind of receive the wisdom of nature and learning how to cultivate things and garden and grow things, to kind of have a natural knowledge and a sense of how you might fit into that, I think is really interesting. Perhaps related to this is spiritual or existential intelligence. Isn't that kind of interesting that this is included? This is a hypothesized intelligence, but still interesting nonetheless. It describes the search for meaning, and the intelligence that comes from deep, considered thoughts on existence and the big subjects of our world. Now, this is very subjective, but when you think about it, some people cannot help but ask these kind of big questions. You know what I mean? Some people are able to lose themselves in the day-to-day, in the details of the day, while some people cannot help but ponder and kind of take a bird's eye view and wonder what it all means. They wonder what it all means. Sometimes the whole universe feels consequential. Yes, consequential. And it can be rewarding to contemplate things multi-dimensionally. I think sometimes I've met kids who are actually really deep thinkers and are kind of in touch with their world, and I see them get in trouble because they're not paying attention in class, when really they're incredibly smart. Some of the smartest kids I've ever met. They're just like a little bit too big for the system that they find themselves in. So I'm a big fan of this one. I really believe in this one because I've seen it, and I think it's very natural to kind of be plugged into the world and kind of want some answers to those questions. Okay, let's go on to the next one. When you are able to make internal and digest and learn information, this is referred to as pedagogical intelligence. That sounds smart, doesn't it? Pedagogical. It involves an inclination to stylize, summarize, and organize information such that you can learn and also share with other human beings. You can teach people something. That's great. Pedagogical intelligence seems highly related to the other ones, doesn't it? Because it's about learning how to learn, which seems fundamental. Learning anything at all. Some people are quite adept at learning and helping others learn. They kind of find different methods of understanding, and are able to meet people where they're at. So I'm trying to do that now, right now, and I think I'm doing a great job, mostly because you're falling asleep, which is not normally how you measure success in a lecture, but in my line of work, it's pretty excellent. So I'm doing a good job, if I might say so myself, and you are doing a good job. expect any less. A plus. Okay. Digital. A last consideration. Digital. Wow. Some people propose that we include this category in our conception of intelligence because navigating the digital world involves like a new set of considerations for people. There's certainly new visual skills, new contextual understanding, and of course, the ability to recognize genre. The digital changes how we watch and how we read, and I guess theoretically move through space, right? I think this is very likely at play when I think of people's ability to recognize fake imagery. I won't go too into that. I don't want you to wake up too much. But, okay, to engage with genre and to know when things might not be real. Like I'm sure you've seen that horrible AI-generated images that trick people on Facebook into thinking that they're real, and it's distressing, I know. But it takes savvy to navigate the internet. The waves are getting higher and higher, it seems, dragging us all down into new depths. So we need to keep our wits about us to navigate that, don't you think? So, okay. Those are the intelligences, the proposed intelligences. But we can see that they are all related to one another. They're not truly completely separate. And we engage with them in different ways, so it can be fun to see how we align or not in all these different ways. What's beautiful about the spectrum is that it shares positivity, and it's so open. It says to us, like, look at how many beautiful, beautiful ways there are to think. Look how we are so smart, and we are so capable, because we are, and we are very much a part of intelligence. So I believe we don't just have it, we are it, the intelligence. But that's maybe a lecture for another day.